I'm with owner, president, Grand Poopa of Rahl Jewelers in Hoffman Estates on Barrington Road. My buddy Brad Gams. And Brad, first of all, it's good to see you.
It's great
Thanks
to see you,
for
Mike.
sponsoring Raging Mouth.
It's my pleasure.
And Brad, engagement rings are big. This is the time of year. Let me ask you a question. Somebody gets a quote from another store, franchise store, maybe a family store. Your family operated 41 years. What do they have to do to compare prices with you?
We typically can beat the price before we even know what they got quoted.
Okay.
They will come in and they'll go to a mall store or even another independent and tell me exactly what they're looking at. Color, clarity, weight, cut, which is also important in a diamond. And we look up to see what we have. And in more cases than not, a lot more cases than not, our price already is better than what they got quoted before they even tell me what they got quoted. So they're pleasantly surprised, and this is how we've maintained over 41 years, through referrals and repeat business. So being the fact that we're family owned and we do all our work on the premises, somebody can come in the morning, buy an engagement ring, and pick it up in the afternoon, and you can't do that at a mall store. You gotta wait 2 weeks, they gotta send things out, and they don't warranty what we do. We give a lifetime warranty. We polish the ring forever. We resize the ring if it needs to be resized. We replace a diamond if it falls out. You can't find that at every jewelry store.
That's him. That's my buddy Brad Gams, Rahl Jewelers, Barrington Road, out in Hoffman Estates. You can see it because the place sparkles from miles away.
So I understand you're looking to maybe upgrade BB's engagement ring.
Wait. Hey, take it easy, Coppola, all right?
Welcome to Rahl Jewelers presents Raging Mouth, Chapter 3.1, Starting the Score. When we last left you, Mike took us back to his time in the military, the battles he faced to find himself, how that search became easier when he found BB, who he's now been married to since 1977, how they found success as hot dog stand owners, and then how he alone, former high school dropout, changed the lives of a lot of people when he sold an idea for an all-sports radio station to radio executives. Now, Mike takes us back to the early 1990s. He and BB still own and operate a thriving business, but his passion is sports. And North knows in his heart that his Raging Mouth belongs at the place he helped give birth to, the Score Sports Radio. He's thrown his hat into the ring, and he waits.
I didn't hear anything for a while, okay? And then I guess Ron Gleason came by the hot dog stand. This is what he told me. We didn't notice it was packed. You know, we were always pretty well loaded during lunch. We're busy. Can I help you? Blah, blah, blah. And he sat there for a half an hour and ate and listened to me talk to the customers. Hey, how you doing, pal? What's going on? Hey, Joe, what's happening? Hey, how's things at the factory? Tommy, stuff like that. Then we'd start talking sports over the counter. How the Bears looking? Training camp getting ready to start, and whatever. My personality came in very handy and my sports acumen. And I'd go back and forth with them just like I did was on the street corners. And he sat there and listened to me to banter back and forth. So I get a call. It's Ron Gleason from The Score, Sports Radio, or dinner. I'd like to interview you. I go, okay, great. And the night before, I got in a fist fight, okay, at the bar, and I got a black eye. Guy spilled drinks on somebody, One thing led to another. And I got my eye dotted. I looked like the dog from Banky and Our Gang. I went to see Ron Gleason that day, and I walked in with the shiner. He goes, whoa, what happened to you? I got in a little tussle last night, but I'm here. Not good time, so it's good to talk to you and stuff like that. So that was his first meeting with me with the shiner. He interviewed me, and then he said, you'll hear from us. And I didn't hear anything for a while. I got interviewed by him in September or late September. And I didn't hear anything for 2-3 months, and I drove BB nuts. You think I'm going to get something. What do you know? Have you heard it? Yeah. And there was not a sound. Then I get the call, and Ron Gleason says, come in. I came in to see him on Belmont. And he says, every night he was playing tapes. People just, boom, you know how it was, although people just giving tape of themselves. Most of it was just straight sportscaster type stuff. How you doing? What's going on? Good to talk to everybody. One of those deals. And that his wife heard me. Linda, great girl, family favorite now. She goes, whoa, whoa, whoa. She comes out of the bathroom and she goes, who's that? So it's this guy named Mike North. He has a hot dog stand. She goes, that's your guy. Like that. So it wasn't Ron Gleason. He came by to see me, but it was her listening from the bathroom, because the bedroom was adjoining. Then I get a call and he says to me, hey, we're thinking of giving you weekends. I go, weekends? I can't do weekends. I could be an everyday guy. Now, this is me in my late 30s. I'm not like 22 out of Syracuse. I'm not 23. I'm not 21. I mean, Steve Dahl, I think, was in town when he was 24, one of the greats here in Chicago. I said, I can do better than that. So I go back to B. I said, I might have hurt my chances. She goes, why? They offered me weekends. What'd you say? I go, I'm not that interested. Nothing was finalized, but I told him straight out. He goes, well, that's what we got for you right now. Once you go weekends, it's hard to get out. Very few do it. When they do, people already have a conception of you. I'd been listening to radio for 30 years. I can't tell you how many weekend guys, some did, but many, once you're in weekends, you're pigeonholed. Drove her nuts for 2 more months. Then I get a call. It's Seth Mason of WXRT. He goes, hey, we got an idea. You got your show on WSBC across the street. Can you come to WXRT studios secretively Wednesday night or Thursday night? We got a guy named Dan Jiggetts that we want to try with you two. And you could do it with your show. I go, then it will be the SBC show, but it's going to be taped there. He goes, yeah. I go to B. I go, B, I just heard that they want me to do my show with Dan Jiggetts. She goes, who's Dan Jiggetts? I go, Dan Jiggetts from the Bears. He used to play on the Bears. Well, remember? She didn't get into the Bears till 84, 85. How convenient. I had to live through the tough years, the meager years. BB jumps in 84 going, I sort of like this team. I think I'm going to go. I always kid her about it. I get there. There's this big man, Dan Jiggetts.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
We get introduced. How you doing? Very understated, both of us. I sit down, I do my show. I go, Dan, this is what I do. I handicap the games, and we talk about each game. He goes, sounds good to me. So I led the show.
Look, man, I'm gonna give you
That's
a
what
chance.
happened.
So
I led the show.
Okay?
We did it.
So you're not gonna
We
just
knocked it
matter,
out. We were natural, joking around. I was horrible, really, when I did this show. I was, compared to now. I mean, I was horrible when I did the early score shows compared to the way I am now. I was just horrible in a great way, in a Chicago way. In other words, I wasn't your button-down professional. So then I get a call, and it was supposed to be, now, I heard Bruce Wolf, and he turned it down, I guess, once they offered it to him, and then they said, you got it. That's how I originally got it, from somebody else turning it down. Otherwise, I was probably destined for weekends. And then they tell me, $45,000 a year. I go, okay, but that was fine. I still had the hot dog stand. I was making more at the hot dog stand. So I wasn't going to let go of that because everybody was telling me this thing's only going to last 6 months. Okay, $45,000. Sounds good to me. Thank you, Seth. Thank you, Danny. I remember the meeting before January 2nd, the whole station in this big conference room. Not big, but crammed in. Had to be 40, 50 people in there. Dan McNeil, everybody. Jesse Rogers, Abby Polanski, George Hoffman, Judd Surratt. Mike Greenberg asked me where I was from. I said, from here. How about you? He goes, I'm from New York, my man. So I told Greeny I was a high school dropout. Greeny's mouth was open. Like this, like, okay, what's this guy doing there? And there were a few people, but there was other people that knew me from XRT. So I walked through the halls and I knew everybody. And somebody's going, how do you know everybody? Well, they all came in to eat by me. So then Seth Mason says at this meeting, both great radio professionals. The one thing that Seth and Danny probably, because they're trying to plan this, we're going to take very little phone calls. And I'll never forget the meeting. I told anybody that would listen, are they kidding me? I said, you better take phone calls as much as you can. And then I would go back there and tell Seth, I disagree with you on one thing. He goes, what do you mean? And he knew this was going to be the beginning of many disagreements because that's what I did. I wanted to shape this thing so it would work. And these guys were music guys that put the right people together. Now, how are you going to use them? I said, if you don't have phone calls with the fans and it's just guys talking back and forth, you got to get them involved with you. Huh. they became a host. The callers became the host because I had worked in retail. And I just figured what I did at the hot dog stand, you can do on the radio. Hey, Cleveland Mike. Hey, Patio Steve. We gave them nicknames. We had regulars. The phone lines were always lit.
There's only one station to talk Chicago sports. The Score, Chicago's sports station.
736-8282. We're going to go to Jim in the car. Hey, Jim, what's up? We're caught between a rock and a hard place. I don't like the guy, but you know what? We want the Sox to win.
Yeah, he's I don't know, like George says, he knows how to win, but there's a lot of guys.
But how, is it knowing how to win when you give up 5 runs and your team scores you 6? I don't understand that. I don't get it.
Let me ask you guys.
Oh, here's a hot tip from Tom Thayer's mouth. Ran into him at the gas station the other day. He says Dante's going to Kansas City and Norton's coming here.
Yeah, we can't check with anybody, my friend.
Yeah, who do we check with to see if you're telling us the truth?
You can check all of the suckers in the office that had to pay me.
Hey, that's a good deal, man.
All right, Dave.
Voice of the fan. That's what I really was. Not just me, that whole crew. I got to give everybody credit. The Score came at the right time, right place.
We'll be right back with more Raging Mouth after this quick message from Mike and Rahl Jewelers.
With my buddy Ryan Gams, the heir apparent to Rahl Jewelers. He's been waiting 34 years to take over, but his father Brad getting the job done. But you did something different, didn't you, Ryan? I mean, you furthered your college education, which involved jewelry, right?
Yep, started my education at Purdue, my undergraduate degree, and then I continued on at the GEM Institute of America, GIA. So got my graduate diamond degree from there, and here I am back at store.
So I can imagine that no matter how good your sports teams are, the bling is outstanding. There's, I see what the NBA players wear.
Oh, yeah.
Do they bring jewels in and stuff and check? You guys got to learn from looking at other jewelry and stuff like that?
Yeah. So they bring in, no matter what it is, diamonds, colored stones. We have our tools, and we inspect, and we can color grade, clarity grade, and if it's set into a piece of jewelry, we approximate the size that it is, and we can let the customer know how much it's worth.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's my buddy Ryan Gams, Rahl Jewelers. I'm happy if I can get my pencil sharpened. This guy going to get a college education and taking care of your gems. Check them out, folks. Rahl Jewelers, Harrington Road, Hoffman Estates.
Rahl Jewelers, family owned for over 40 years. Visit their website, RAHL Jewelers, RahlJewelers.com. Raging Mouth continues with Mike North taking us back to January 2nd, 1992, when the Score first went live.
Boom, we go on the air. One of the biggest days of my life. Mayor Daley was one of our guests, and John Madden.
The great thing about being a football player is you don't have to take a shower to go to work.
I asked Mayor Daley straight out, do you play fast pitch?
Yeah, you want to let off some steam.
When you were a kid? He goes, oh yeah, I played fast pitch. My whole interview style was based on, if you're from Chicago, you're going to have something in common with me, and we're going to be at a bar. John Madden, those were 2 dynamite guests that come out of the box, and then they heard me and Jiggetts, and we had no spots. We did 1 minute or 2 minute break every 15 minutes. We did 4 hours a day for 3 months. And Jiggs was right next to me. Unexplainable. The chemistry we had, the right chemistry. Dan was good cop and I was bad cop, period. Dan was the voice of reason. I didn't want to hear that at the time. That don't mean he's telling you what you got to be told. I'm telling you what you got to be told. And that's how it was. Oh, Mike, wait a minute now. I mean, think about this. You got a 6'4" black man, okay, from Harvard, who's an economics guy, okay? And then you got a high school dropout who's a white boy who couldn't get out of high school, but knows sports inside and out. You got these 2 guys you put together. Now you're bringing in the black audience. Then you got the white audience. Everybody knew who the monsters were. Everybody. Jesse Jackson, Edward Doliak, all the big players knew who we were and wanted to hang with us. So that's how magical that station was. But Dan Jiggetts, he should be automatically in the Radio Hall of Fame. He's the guy that doesn't get enough credit. I mean, Dan, without Dan, I'm not here. We both wanted to make it. We never missed a day. He had a heart attack on the air. I know that for a fact. He had heart failure. And for 5 days, he worked every day. Had trouble breathing. I had colitis on the air once. I worked through it. It was the worst. We never missed a day, and I was hungover hundreds of times, and we never missed a day. Neither me or him. He had a family to raise, and they were young. Lauren, Karen, his wife, Kristen, good people, and a great guy. The problem with anything that ever happened with us had nothing to do with me and him, period, as far as I'm concerned. And we didn't have many problems. We only had a couple arguments in like all those years, but he had an agent that was the third wheel, and I didn't, although I did have BB, which is as good as having an agent. Dan Jiggetts had more people listen to him in Chicago than any black man in the history of radio. I know that for a fact. The lineup itself is the greatest that ever was formed for sports radio. There's no second bananas here. These guys were all successful. Tom Scher was already on Channel 5.
On a Tuesday morning, we're talking some Chicago Bears football. Phone lines are open at 736-8282 if you want to give us...
He was rising through the ranks, but he wasn't quite probably where he wanted to be, and this is a job offer doing morning radio, which nobody did on sports radio. For instance, the WFAN in New York, Don Imus was on in the morning. They didn't have sports. I hear how much stones they had. They didn't have no stones. Mark Chernoff and them, I mean, they had stones to do the sports radio station, but it wasn't really a full station. We were only 3 shows. Tom Scher was one of them, then Jiggetts and North, and then McNeil and Boris.
Who you crappin'?
I deserve that one.
Who you crappin'?
Who you crappin'?
Who you crappin'?
And then right after that, Mike Murphy, and he had Brian Hanley sitting in.
Tom from Park Ridge on the score. Hello, Tom.
Hey, Murph, it's a pleasure to talk to you, man.
We were the focal point in Chicago in 92, 93, 94, 95. We were destination radio, man.
Well, where'd you get that damn shirt?
I bought this shirt at a very nice clothing store, and if you don't get off my back, I'm going to shove it down your throat. Rope it up in a nice ball and rip it right down your throat.
How are you, Shaq?
Good, good, good.
You know, it takes a lot to... I've interviewed everybody from MJ to Bill Weddington, okay? And you know what? It is a pleasure to have you here. You're in a chair that is for an 8-year-old right now, and your knees are going... I mean, I don't know. Jen put you in that chair. You can't be happy about it, but you're used to it. Because even the top hotels that you stay in on the road, do they have beds in certain hotels that accommodate a man of your girth?
No, they have regular king-size beds, but I like sleeping and having my feet hang off the edge of the bed anyway. So
me too, but I'm halfway down the bed. I like to do that. I have the pillows up there. I like to lay flat. I want to feel like an NBA superstar, for God's sake.
You are a superstar.
So you remember the meeting. Dan Lee, Seth Mason goes, well, Ron Gleason goes, well, this is some news. It's not very good. I go, well, what's the news? You had no ratings. But I told them that day when they came in, I raised my hand. I go, that's impossible. That's impossible that we have 0 ratings. Everywhere I go, I'm being stopped. Hey, Mike North, everywhere. What are you talking about? I'm downtown. I'm uptown. I'm hearing it from other people too. Everywhere I talk, I'm still playing softball in this town. Everybody's coming up to me. That's impossible. And then we found out what happened. Now, back in the day, you had a diary. People would fill out. Sometimes they'd fill out from 2 to 5. Steve Dawn put a line all the way. There were guys that are already embedded. We were new, and we were only three shows, and our power died at night. But the ratings people rated us for 24 hours. They didn't compact it. Once they compacted it, we were the new game in town, and then we started making big money. In fact, I'm going to be as bold as to say this. The 2 dominant franchises in Chicago in the early 90s and going through the 90s were the Bulls and the Score Sports Radio, period. If Jordan walked in, people would mob him. If one of us walked into a bar, everybody knew who we were. We didn't know it was going to explode like this. I had no idea what was going to happen. I mean, I went from Gibson sitting at the bar to the #1 booth in 1 year. You know what I mean? It all was a shock to us, but it was the right format at the right time.
Mike North's story at The Score is far from over. Chapter 3.2 will focus on Mike's personal achievements and some of his controversies. He'll take you through some of his fiery interviews, like the one with then Chicago Bears owner Ed McCaskey, and his throwdown with White Sox manager Ozzie Guillen. We'll relive the moment Mike asked then Miami Heat coach Pat Riley a question during the NBA Finals that got attention all around the world. And then there are the radio stunts Mike dreamed of, like Hug a Black, Caucasian Man, and many more. That's all on the next installment of Rahl Jewelers presents Raging Mouth, the Mike North Story.